The rifle barrel catches sunlight for half a second before it swings toward the children. Mech sees it: black metal, steady hands, a mask that doesn't belong at a preschool spring showcase. His belly pulls tight under his shirt, 24 weeks of weight that makes his balance wrong. His reflexes slower than they used to be, but his eyes are fast, always have been. He tracks the angle of the gun, follows the trajectory, and his brain solves the equation before his lungs can pull air. The Triplets. 3 identical boys in matching blue shirts, standing near the auditorium entrance with paper flowers in their hands. Riven, Sol, Penn, 4 years old, storm grey eyes, bright smiles that haven't learned what the world takes from people yet. The shooter's finger moves toward the trigger. Meg's throat rips open before thought catches up. Get down. He doesn't run, he throws himself. His body crashes into the boys like a wave, arms wide, belly exposed, and he folds over them just as the first shot cracks the air. The sound is so loud it erases everything else. Screaming mothers, crying children, the hum of spring insects in the Louisiana heat. All of it disappears into the gunshot's echo. The bullet hits his shoulder. It feels like being punched by something made of fire. His skin tears, muscle splits, bone rattles but doesn't break. Blood soaks through his shirt in seconds, warm and sticky, spreading across his back like spilled paint. He doesn't let go of the boys. The second bullet hits lower his side, just above his hip. His ribs crack inward, his lungs seize, he tastes copper. The third bullet skims his back, tearing skin but missing organs by a miracle only desperation understands. The fourth punches through his shoulder blade and exits clean. Mech's vision blurs, his knees buckle, but his arms stay locked around the triplets, their tiny bodies pressed against the pavement, shielded beneath him. He can feel their heartbeats, fast, panicked, alive. Someone is screaming his name. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Footsteps pound the asphalt, heavy, fast, alpha energy so thick it makes the air vibrate. Kairo Vell doesn't speak when he reaches them, he roars. The sound is primal, guttural, the kind of noise that makes predators back down and prey freeze. His hands are on Mech in seconds, pulling him up just enough to check the boys underneath. They're crying, but they're breathing. Kairo's face is white, his jaw clenches so hard his teeth should shatter. He looks at Mech, pale skin, blood-soaked shirt, trembling lips, and something in his expression breaks. Stay with me, Kairo says, his voice is rough, barely controlled. You hear me, stay. Mech tries to answer, his mouth opens, but all that comes out is a choked gasp, wet and rattling, like his lungs are filling with something they shouldn't. His vision tunnels, the edges go dark, his body feels heavy, too heavy, like gravity just tripled. But before the darkness takes him, he forces his eyes to focus on Kairo's face. Don't let them, Mech's voice is barely a whisper, take our baby. Kairo goes still. Our baby. Not the baby, not this baby. Mech's head drops, his body goes limp in Kairo's arms. Blood pools beneath them on the concrete, spreading in uneven circles that glisten under the afternoon sun. Sirens wail in the distance. The triplets are sobbing, clinging to their father's legs, their small hands stained red. And Kairo, Alpha, Mafia boss, man who built an empire on control, holds the Omega who just took 4 bullets meant for his children and realizes something he should have known weeks ago. He can't lose him. The ambulance screeches to a stop. Paramedics rush forward with a stretcher. Kairo doesn't let go. He carries Mech himself, lays him down gently, and climbs into the ambulance without asking permission. The doors slam shut. The vehicle pulls away, lights flashing, sirens screaming. And in the crowd behind them, half hidden near a parked van, a man in a grey suit watches the ambulance disappear. He pulls out his phone, dials a number, waits for the line to click. When it does, he speaks 3 words. He survived again. On the other end, someone laughs, low, cold, and patient. Not for long. 3 weeks earlier, Kairo Vell wakes up to the sound of his sons arguing over dinosaurs. Raptors are faster, but T-Rex has bigger teeth. Penn says Triceratops would win because of the horns. Kairo opens his eyes. Sunlight filters through the curtains of his estate bedroom, soft and golden, the kind of light that makes New Orleans mornings feel like they're wrapped in honey. He sits up slowly, rolls his shoulders, and listens to the chaos downstairs. His sons, his triplets, the only thing in his life that wasn't built on violence or strategy. He checks his phone, 6 messages from his second-in-command, 2 missed calls from his accountant, a text from his lawyer that just says, "We need to talk." He ignores all of it. Downstairs, the triplets are sitting at the kitchen table, still in their pajamas, bowls of cereal in front of them. Riven is the loudest, always has been. Sol is the gentle one, the peacemaker. Penn watches everything, quiet but calculating, like he's solving puzzles nobody else can see. They look up when Kairo walks in. "Papa," Riven shouts, milk dripping from his spoon. Kairo's chest tightens. Every single time they call him that, it tightens, because he knows what he is, what he built, what he's capable of, and he knows what the world would do to these boys if they didn't have his protection. "Eat your breakfast," Kairo says. His voice is calm, controlled. Alpha authority without cruelty. They obey, but Sol keeps sneaking glances at him, like he's checking to make sure his father is real. Kairo pours himself coffee, black, no sugar, the same way he takes everything else in his life, simple and direct. He leans against the counter and watches his sons eat, watches the way Riven kicks his feet under the table, the way Sol hums while he chews, the way Penn's eyes flick toward the window every few seconds like he's memorizing the angle of the sun. This is what Kairo protects. Not the docks, not the money, not the territory. This. His phone buzzes again. He glances at the screen. Another message from his second-in-command. They're moving again. Kairo's jaw tightens. He deletes the message without responding. He already knows who they are. He's known for weeks. Enemies don't disappear just because you stop paying attention. They wait, they plan, they find the weakest point in your armor. And Kairo's weakest point is sitting at his kitchen table, arguing over whether dinosaurs could beat dragons. He's secured everything, doubled security at the estate, vetted every single person who comes within 100 feet of his sons, installed cameras, hired the best guards money can buy, and made it very clear to every criminal in New Orleans that touching his children means death. But security is only as strong as the information behind it. And someone, somewhere, knows something he doesn't. Later that afternoon, Kairo meets with his head of security in his office. The man is tall, scarred, and loyal to the point of stupidity. His name is Dante. "We've got a problem," Dante says. Kairo doesn't look up from the paperwork on his desk. "I'm aware. There's a new Omega on the street asking about you." Kairo's pen stops moving. "Describe him," Kairo says. Blonde, male, looks like he hasn't eaten in days, bruises on his face, shaking hands. Kairo sets the pen down. His instincts are screaming, because Omegas don't just show up asking about Mafia bosses unless they're desperate, or bait. "Where?" Kairo asks. "Lower 9th Ward, outside the free clinic." Kairo stands, grabs his jacket, doesn't explain. Dante follows him to the car without asking questions. The clinic is small, crumbling at the edges, paint peeling off in strips that curl like dead skin. Marek Halden stands outside it, clutching a prescription slip so tightly the paper is damp with sweat. His hands won't stop shaking. His lip is split. His left eye is swollen, not quite black but getting there. He's been standing here for 20 minutes. He doesn't know why. Yes, he does. Because he doesn't have anywhere else to go. A black car pulls up to the curb. Expensive, tinted windows, the kind of car that doesn't belong in this neighborhood. Marek's instincts scream at him to run, but his legs are too tired. His ribs hurt. His stomach is cramping. Not bad, not yet, but enough to remind him that his body isn't just his anymore. The back door opens. A man steps out. Tall, broad shoulders, dark skin, storm grey eyes that lock onto Marek like a targeting system. He's wearing a suit tailored black, understated, but Marek can see the gun holster under his jacket, can smell the alpha pheromones rolling off him in waves, dominant, controlled, dangerous. Marek knows exactly who this is. Kairo Vell. Marek takes a step back. His body moves before his brain does, trained by months of survival to assume every alpha is a threat. Kairo stops walking, raises one hand, palm out, universal gesture for "I'm not going to hurt you." "You asked about me," Kairo says. His voice is deep, steady, the kind of voice that makes you believe him even when you shouldn't. Marek opens his mouth, closes it, his throat is dry, he tries again. "I didn't," Marek lies. Kairo's eyes narrow, not angry, just reading him. Like Marek's body is a book written in a language only alphas understand. "You're hurt," Kairo says. "I'm fine." "You're pregnant." Mek freezes. Kairo takes one step closer, slow, careful, like approaching a wounded animal. How far along? Kairo asks. Mek's jaw clenches. His hand moves instinctively to his stomach, covering it like that'll somehow hide the truth. None of your business. 12 weeks, Kairo says, answering his own question. Maybe 13. No medical supervision, no scent blockers, no alpha claiming you. Mek's vision blurs. He blinks hard, refuses to cry. Not here, not in front of this man. I don't need help, Mek says. Kairo's gaze drops to Mek's wrist, to the thin white scar circling it like a bracelet. It's faded now, barely visible, but alphas always notice, because that scar means one thing. Auction tag. Kairo's expression doesn't change, but something in his scent does. Anger maybe, or recognition. Who did this to you? Kairo asks. His voice is quieter now, almost gentle. Mek laughs. It sounds broken. You want a list. I want a name. Why? Mek snaps. His voice cracks. So you can add it to your collection, so you can pretend you're different from the rest of them. Kairo doesn't flinch. I am different. That's what they all say. The air between them is heavy, thick with pheromones and pain and history Kairo doesn't know yet. Mek's legs are shaking now, his body burning through the last reserves of adrenaline that got him this far. Kairo pulls something from his pocket, a business card, plain, black, just a phone number. He holds it out. Mek doesn't take it. You call that number, Kairo says, and I'll make sure you're safe. Medical care, food, shelter, no strings. There are always strings, Mek whispers. It's not with me. Mek stares at the card, at the hand holding it, at the man who smells like cedar and gunpowder and something Mek can't name, something that feels almost like safety. He doesn't take the card. Instead, he turns and walks away. His steps are uneven, his breath is shallow, his vision is swimming. But he makes it 3 blocks before his knees give out. He collapses against a chain-link fence, slides down to the concrete and presses his forehead to his knees. His chest heaves, his ribs ache, his stomach cramps again, harder this time. He hears footsteps behind him. Slow, steady. Don't make me go back, Mek whispers. His voice is so quiet it barely exists. The footsteps stop. Kairo kneels beside him, doesn't touch, just waits. Go back where? Kairo asks. Mek lifts his head, his eyes are red, his face is pale, and when he speaks his voice is hollow. To the man who put this baby in me. Mek wakes up in a bed that's too soft. His first instinct is panic. His eyes snap open. His hands grip the sheets. His body tenses, ready to run, ready to fight, ready to do whatever it takes to survive the next 5 minutes. But the room is quiet. Sunlight filters through gauze curtains. The walls are cream-colored. There's a glass of water on the nightstand, a bowl of fruit, a bottle of prenatal vitamins. No chains, no locks, no alpha looming in the corner. Mek sits up slowly, his ribs protest, his shoulder aches, but he's clean. Someone changed his clothes, loose cotton shirt, soft pants, nothing restrictive. His lip is bandaged, his wrist is wrapped. He doesn't remember getting here. The door opens. Mek flinches. But it's not Kairo, it's a woman, older, kind eyes. She's carrying a tray with soup and bread. You're awake, she says, her voice is warm, southern accent, good, you need to eat. Mek doesn't move. She sets the tray on the bed, backs up, gives him space. My name's Lorraine, she says. I work for Mr. Vell. I'm not here to hurt you, just here to make sure you're okay. Mek stares at the soup, his stomach growls. He hasn't eaten a real meal in days. But he doesn't touch it. Where am I? Mek asks. Safe house, east side, quiet neighborhood. No one knows you're here except Mr. Vell and me. I didn't agree to this. Lorraine's expression softens. You passed out on the street, honey. Mr. Vell brought you here so you wouldn't end up in a hospital with questions you couldn't answer. Mek's jaw clenches, because she's right. A hospital would have called the police. The police would have asked questions. Questions laid to names. Names laid to. He can't think about that. Eat, Lorraine says gently. Doctor's coming this afternoon to check on you and the baby. Mek's hand moves to his stomach before he can stop himself. Protective, instinctive. Lorraine notices, she smiles. You're going to be okay, she says. Then she leaves. Mek stares at the soup for a long time. Then he picks up the spoon, takes one bite, then another. He tells himself he's only eating because the baby needs it, not because he's grateful, not because some part of him is too tired to keep running. By the time he finishes, the soup is cold and his hands have stopped shaking. The doctor arrives at 2. She's professional, efficient, no nonsense. She checks his blood pressure, listens to his heartbeat, does an ultrasound that makes Mek turn his head away because he doesn't want to see. 12 weeks and 4 days, the doctor says. Baby's measuring on track, heartbeat is strong, but you're dehydrated and underweight, we'll need to monitor you closely. Mek nods, doesn't speak. The doctor packs up her equipment. Mr. Vell asked me to tell you that you can stay here as long as you need. No pressure, no obligations. Mek almost laughs, because alphas always say things like that, right before they take everything. But when the door closes and he's alone again, Mek realizes something that makes his chest ache. He doesn't have anywhere else to go. That night Mek hears voices outside his door, low, controlled, alpha voices. He presses his ear to the wood. Can't keep doing this, someone is saying, not Kairo, someone else. You bring in every stray omega you find and... He's not a stray, Kairo's voice, cold, final. Then what is he? Silent. Then someone who needs help. And if he's bait, if someone sent him to get close to you, then they picked the wrong target. Footsteps moving away. Mek pulls back from the door, his heart is pounding, because Kairo's right to be suspicious. Anyone would be, Mek's not stupid, he knows what he looks like, broken omega, pregnant, desperate. Perfect trap. Except it's not a trap. It's just survival. The next morning, Mek wakes to the sound of children's laughter. It's coming from somewhere downstairs, high-pitched, joyful, the kind of sound that doesn't belong in a world full of guns and fear. Mek gets out of bed, his body protests but he ignores it. He opens the door, steps into the hallway, follows the sound. The staircase leads to a wide living room, expensive furniture, high ceilings, and in the center of it all, 3 boys, identical, playing with toy dinosaurs on a rug that costs more than Mek's entire life. They look up when Mek appears. Storm gray eyes, all 3 of them. And for a moment, nobody moves. Then the smallest one, the one in the middle, smiles. You smell sad, he says. Mek doesn't know how to respond to children who see too much. He stands frozen at the bottom of the stairs, hand gripping the railing, body still sore from collapse and exhaustion. The triplets stare at him like he's a puzzle they're trying to solve. 3 pairs of grey eyes, 3 identical faces, 3 tiny humans who have no idea what the world does to people like Mek. The boy in the middle, the one who spoke, tilts his head. Are you staying? He asks. Mek opens his mouth, closes it, his throat feels tight. I don't know, Mek says finally. The boy on the left, the loud one, jumps up, clutching a plastic T-Rex. You should stay, we have extra dinosaurs. The third boy, quieter, just watches, calculating like his father. Mek takes 1 step into the room, then another. His instincts are screaming at him to leave, to run, to put distance between himself and anything that could hurt him. But his body is too tired, and something about the way these children look at him, not with pity, not with judgment, just curiosity, makes him stay. The gentle boy in the middle walks over. He's holding a stuffed triceratops, worn and loved, 1 horn missing. He holds it out to Mek. You can borrow him. The boy says he helps when you're scared. Mek's chest cracks open. He kneels down slowly, ignoring the protest in his ribs, and takes the stuffed dinosaur. It's soft, warm from being held. Thank you, Mek whispers. The boy smiles, then he leans forward and wraps his small arms around Mek's neck. A hug, quick, innocent, the kind of touch Mek hasn't felt in so long he forgot what it was called. Mek's eyes burn. The loud boy joins the hug, then the quiet one. All 3 of them, piled against Mek like he's something worth protecting instead of something broken. A door opens behind them. Kairo steps into the room. He stops when he sees them. His son's wrapped around a traumatized omega, who's trembling so hard his shoulders shake. Kairo doesn't speak, just watches. The boys pull back eventually, returning to their dinosaurs. but the gentle one stays close to Mech, sitting beside him on the floor. I'm Sol, the boy says, pointing to himself. Then he points to the loud one. That's Riven. Points to the quiet one. That's Penn. Mech nods. I'm Mech. You're pretty, Riven announces, loud enough to make Mech flinch. Sol elbows him. You're not supposed to say that. Why not? Papa says we should tell the truth. Penn looks up at Kairo. Is Mech staying? Kairo's gaze shifts to Mech. There's something in his expression, something Mech can't read. Not quite possessive, not quite protective, something in between. That's up to Mech, Kairo says. Mech looks down at the stuffed triceratops still in his hands, at the three boys who chose him before anyone asked them to, at the alpha standing in the doorway who could crush him with one hand but hasn't. I don't have anywhere else to go, Mech says quietly. Then stay, Sol says, like it's the simplest thing in the world. Riven grins. We can share our room. Penn just nods, like he already knew Mech would stay. Kairo crosses the room, kneels beside Mech, close enough that Mech can smell cedar and gunpowder again, close enough to make Mech's instincts scream alpha threat, alpha danger, run. But Kairo doesn't touch him. You're safe here, Kairo says. His voice is low, steady, meant only for Mech. No one will hurt you, not while you're under my protection. Mech wants to believe him. He's been hurt by too many alphas who said the same thing. But when Sol leans against his side, warm and trusting, something in Mech's chest loosens, just a little. That night after the boys are in bed, Mech sits in the guest room and stares at the ceiling. His hand rests on his stomach, feeling the slight swell that's starting to show. 12 weeks, almost 13. The first trimester is almost over. He doesn't know how he feels about the baby. He didn't want it at first, didn't want anything that came from him, from the alpha who drugged him, chained him, forced him into submission over and over until Mech stopped counting the days. But the baby didn't choose how it was made. And maybe it doesn't have to carry that darkness. A soft knock on the door pulls Mech from his thoughts. Come in, Mech says. The door opens. Kairo steps inside, carrying a glass of water and another bottle of vitamins. Doctor said you need to take these twice a day, Kairo says, setting them on the nightstand. Mech nods. Thank you. Kairo doesn't leave. He stands there, hands in his pockets, looking like he wants to say something but doesn't know how. Your sons are kind, Mech says finally. Kairo's expression softens. They are. You raised them well. Their mother did most of it before. Kairo stops, clears his throat before she passed. Mech's chest tightens. I'm sorry. Kairo nods, then he looks directly at Mech. Can I ask you something? Mech tenses. Depends on the question. Who did this to you? Mech's hands curl into fists, his jaw clenches. He doesn't want to say the name, doesn't want to give it power. But Kairo's waiting, patient, not demanding, just asking. An alpha who wanted to own me, Mech whispers. Kairo's scent changes, sharper, angrier. Does he know you're here? Kairo asks. I don't think so. You don't think or you don't know. Mech looks up, meets Kairo's eyes. I escaped 3 weeks ago. I've been moving since then. I don't know what he knows. Kairo's jaw clenches. What's his name? Mech's breath catches, because saying the name makes it real, makes it dangerous. But if Kairo's going to protect him, really protect him, he needs to know. Daxon Crow, Mech says. Kairo goes completely still. The air in the room turns cold. Say that again, Kairo says. His voice is barely controlled. Daxon Crow, Mech repeats. You know him. Kairo doesn't answer. He turns and walks to the window, staring out at the dark street below. His shoulders are tense, his hands are clenched. When he finally speaks, his voice is ice. He's the reason I built my security the way I did. He's the reason I don't trust anyone outside my inner circle. And he's the reason. Kairo stops, breathes. He's the one who tried to kill my sons 2 years ago. Mech's blood turns to frost. What? Mech whispers. Kairo turns, looks at Mech with an expression that could shatter steel. Daxon Crow isn't just dangerous, Kairo says. He's a predator, and if he knows you're carrying his child. Children, Mech interrupts, his voice is shaking. The doctor told me today, twins. Kairo's face goes pale. Mek's hands move to his stomach, protective and terrified. He's going to come for them, Mek whispers, isn't he? Kairo crosses the room in 3 strides, kneels in front of Mek, places his hands on Mek's knees, gentle, grounding. He won't touch you, Kairo says. He won't touch those Barbies, I'll make sure of it. You can't promise that. Yes, Kairo says, his voice dropping into alpha command, I can. And for the first time since Mek escaped, since he ran, since he collapsed on that street corner. He believes him. If someone from your past came back, would you fight or run? Tell us below. The photograph arrives in an unmarked envelope. No return address, no stamp, just Kairo's name written in handwriting that makes his blood run cold. He opens it in his office alone, while Dante stands guard outside the door. Inside is a single picture, Mek, standing outside the clinic 3 weeks ago, bruised and shaking, clutching that prescription slip. On the back, written in the same handwriting, I know where he is. Kairo's hands don't shake, they never do, but his jaw clenches so hard his teeth ache. He pulls out his phone, dials a number he hasn't called in 2 years. The line clicks. Kairo Vell, a voice says, smooth, educated, the kind of voice that belongs in boardrooms and charity galas, the kind of voice that hides monsters. I was wondering when you'd reach out. Daxon, Kairo says, his voice is flat, controlled, you're making a mistake. Daxon Crow laughs, it's the sound of glass breaking slowly. Am I, because from where I'm standing, you're the one who made the mistake, taking what's mine. He's not yours. He's carrying my children, that makes him mine. Kairo's grip on the phone tightens. You laid hands on an Omega without consent. You trafficked him. You're lucky I haven't burned your entire operation to the ground. Oh, Kairo, Daxon says, voice dripping with amusement. You think you're different because you pay hospital bills and keep the docs quiet. You think that makes you better than me, he pauses. We're the same, we just have different methods. We are nothing alike. Aren't we? We both take what we want. We both enforce our will. The only difference is you've convinced yourself you're a hero. Kairo's silence stretches, because part of him, the part he hates, wonders if Daxon is right. Let me make this simple, Daxon continues. Return Mek to me and I'll forget you interfered. Keep him and I'll take everything from you, starting with those triplets of yours. The line goes dead. Kairo sets the phone down, stands, walks to the window. New Orleans stretches out below him, city of jazz and heat and secrets that never stay buried. He built his empire here, protected his territory, kept his sons safe. But Daxon Crow isn't just another rival. He's a predator who wears tailored suits and smiles for cameras while auctioning Omegas to the highest bidder. He hosts charity events where the real transactions happen in backrooms. He's connected politicians, judges, law enforcement, untouchable through money and influence. And he wants Mek back. Wants those twins. Kairo pulls out his phone again, sends a message to his entire security team, increase perimeter. No one gets close to the estate, no exceptions. Then he goes downstairs. Mek is in the kitchen with the triplets, watching them decorate cookies. Flour dusts Mek's shirt. Sol has frosting on his nose. Riven is eating more than he's decorating. Penn is creating geometric patterns with colored sprinkles. They look like a family. Mek glances up when Kairo enters. Their eyes meet, and in that moment Mek knows something's wrong. Boys, Kairo says, voice gentle, go wash up, it's almost bedtime. They groan but obey. Sol hugs Mek before he leaves. Riven grabs one more cookie. Penn lingers, studying his father's face before following his brothers upstairs. When they're alone, Mek sets down the spatula he's holding. What happened? Mek asks. Kairo pulls the photograph from his pocket, slides it across the counter. Mek's face goes white. He knows, Mek whispers. Yes. He's coming for me. Not if I stop him first. Mek's laugh is hollow. You can't stop him. You don't understand what he is, what he's capable of. I know exactly what he is, Kairo says. His voice is ice and fury. He's a coward who hides behind money and connections, and I've taken down bigger threats. Not like him, Mek says. His hands are shaking now. He doesn't just kill people, Kairo. He ruins them. He takes everything they love and makes them watch while he destroys it. And then when there's nothing left, he lets them live. Kairo crosses to Mek, stands close enough that their scents mix, cedar and gunpowder meeting ocean and fear. I won't let that happen, Kairo says. You can't promise that. I already did. Mek looks up at him, blue eyes swimming with terror and something else, something that looks almost like hope. Why, Mek whispers, why are you doing this? I'm nothing to you, just another broken Omega with a past you didn't ask for. Kairo's hand moves before he can stop it, cups Mek's face, gentle, careful. You're not nothing, Kairo says, not to my sons and not to me. Mek's breath catches. Before either of them can speak, Kairo's phone buzzes, he checks it, his expression hardens. What? Mek asks. Surveillance just picked up a car circling the block, same one that's been there for the past hour. Mek's face drains of color, it's him, he's watching. Kairo's phone rings, he answers without greeting. Boss, Dante's voice crackles through, we've got movement, 3 vehicles, armed, they're positioning. Kairo's jaw sets, lock it down, no one in or out. He ends the call, looks at Mek. Go upstairs, stay with the boys, lock the door, don't open it for anyone except me. Kairo. It's now Mek. Mek runs. 24 weeks pregnant means Mek's balance is wrong, and his body moves like it's fighting gravity. But he makes it upstairs, locks himself in the boys' room. They're already in their pajamas, sitting on the floor with a storybook. Sol looks up when Mek enters, face bright with innocence. Are you reading with us? Sol asks. Mek forces a smile. His heart is hammering so hard he's surprised they can't hear it. Yeah, I'm reading with you. He sits on the floor between them. Riven climbs into his lap without asking. Penn leans against his shoulder. Sol holds the book. Outside, Mek hears engines, voices, the sharp click of weapons being loaded. He wraps his arms around the boys and prays. Downstairs, Kairo stands in the center of his estate with 15 armed men surrounding him. The perimeter is secure, motion sensors active, cameras rolling, every entrance monitored. But Daxon doesn't come through the doors. He calls. Kairo's phone rings, he answers. Impressive security, Daxon says, but you know as well as I do that walls don't stop bullets. What do you want? Kairo asks. I already told you, Mek and my children. Not happening. Then I'll take them, tonight, tomorrow, next week, doesn't matter. You can't watch him every second, and when you slip, when you make one mistake, I'll be there. Kairo's voice drops, you come near him or my sons, and I will end you. Big words, Daxon says, but you won't kill me, Kairo, you're too principled, too righteous, that's always been your weakness. The line goes dead. Kairo stands in the silence, his men wait for orders. Double the guard rotation, Kairo says, no public appearances, no trips outside the estate, nothing. Dante steps forward, boss, we can't live like prisoners. We're not prisoners, we're protected. For how long? Kairo doesn't answer, because he doesn't know. Upstairs, Mek reads to the triplets until their eyes grow heavy. Sol falls asleep first, curled against Mek's side. Riven fights it, yawning between every sentence. Penn stays awake longest, watching Mek like he's memorizing his face. Are you scared? Penn whispers. Mek's throat tightens, a little. Papa won't let anything happen to you. I know. Promise. Mek looks down at this 4-year-old child, who sees too much, and understands even more. I promise, Mek lies. The next morning, the triplets beg to attend their preschool spring showcase. It's been on the calendar for weeks. They've been practicing songs and rehearsing dances. Riven has a solo line. Sol made decorations. Penn memorized every word. Kairo says no. The boys' faces crumple. But we worked so hard, Sol says, tears welling. I know, Kairo says, his voice is firm but gentle, but it's not safe. You always say that, Riven complains. Penn just stares at his father, silent, judging. Mek watches from the doorway, watches these children who have been nothing but kind to him face disappointment because of a monster Mek brought into their lives. I'll keep them safe, Mek says. Kairo turns, no. They deserve to be kids, Kairo. They deserve memories that aren't about fear. They deserve to be alive. And they will be, Mek says. He steps into the room. You'll have guards, surveillance, every precaution, but you can't lock them away forever. Kairo's jaw clenches. You don't understand what you're asking. I understand that you're trying to protect them, but if you keep them in a cage, even a golden one, you're not protecting them. You're just teaching them to be afraid. The room goes silent. Sol tugs on Kairo's sleeve. Please, Papa. Kairo looks at his sons, at Mek, at the impossible choice in front of him. Heavy security, Kairo says finally. Armed escorts, bulletproof vehicle, and Mek stays close to you at all times. The boys cheer. Mek's stomach knots. Because he just made a promise he might not be able to keep. The morning of the showcase, Mek wakes with cramps. Not bad, just enough to remind him his body is changing, growing, making room for two lives that never asked to exist. He dresses carefully, loose clothing, comfortable shoes, nothing that restricts movement. The triplets are vibrating with excitement. Riven can't stop talking. Sol keeps checking his reflection. Penn is calm but focused. They pile into the bulletproof SUV. Kairo drives. Dante follows in a second vehicle. 2 more cars flank them. It's a 10-minute trip. The preschool is small, private, tucked away in a quiet neighborhood. Parents are already gathering outside the auditorium. Balloons, flowers, cameras. It's normal. Safe. Mek scans the crowd anyway. That's when he sees him. A man in a grey suit, standing too still, not smiling, not talking, just watching. Mek's blood turns to ice. Kairo, Mek whispers. But Kairo is already moving, positioning himself between the man and his sons. The man sees Kairo, smiles, then melts into the crowd. Did you see him? Mek asks. I saw him, Kairo says, his voice is tight. Dante, eyes on that man, grey suit, northeast corner. Dante's voice crackles through the earpiece, copy on it. They move into the auditorium. The boys run ahead to join their class backstage. Mek and Kairo find seats near the exit. Mek's hands won't stop shaking. The show starts, children sing, parents applaud, Sol waves from the stage, Riven delivers his line perfectly, Penn stands exactly where he's supposed to. Everything is normal. Until it's not. The first gunshot cracks the air 30 seconds after the final song ends. Mek hears the scream before he sees the rifle. Parents scatter like birds hit by stones, children cry, teachers shout, the auditorium doors burst open and people pour into the parking lot, chaos in every direction. Mek turns. The man in the grey suit is gone. But someone else is there, black mask, military-grade weapon, standing 15 feet from the auditorium entrance where parents are dragging their children to safety. The rifle swings. Left, right, searching. Then it stops. Aimed directly at 3 identical boys in blue shirts holding paper flowers. Riven, Sol, Penn. Time fractures. Mek's brain solves the equation in half a second. Distance, angle, speed. His body is slower now, belly swollen, balance off, ribs already aching from standing too long. But his legs remember how to move. His arms remember how to protect. The shooter's finger tightens on the trigger. Mek's throat rips open. Get down. He doesn't think, doesn't hesitate, just throws himself forward, arms wide. Body angled to cover all 3 boys. He hits the pavement hard, knees scraping concrete, belly exposed, back vulnerable. The first bullet punches through his shoulder. Pain explodes across his chest, white-hot sharp like someone just drove a railroad spike through bone. His muscles seize. Blood sprays across his shirt, but his arms stay locked around the triplets, pulling them down, covering them with his body. The second bullet hits his side. Lower, deeper, tearing through flesh just above his hip. His ribs crack, he feels it, hears it, a sound like branches snapping. His lungs forget how to work, his vision swims, but he doesn't let go. The third bullet grazes his back. Skin splits, muscle tears. Fire races up his spine. His body jerks involuntarily, but he forces himself still, forces himself to be a wall between the bullets and the boys underneath him. The fourth bullet punches through his shoulder blade and exits clean. Mek tastes copper, his mouth fills with blood, his chest feels like it's collapsing inward, every breath is wet and wrong, but beneath him he feels 3 small heartbeats, fast, terrified, alive. Alive. Footsteps pound the asphalt. A raw, primal, guttural, the kind of sound that makes predators back down and the earth itself pause. Kairo. Hands grab Mek, gentle but urgent. Kairo lifts him just enough to check the boys underneath. Riven is crying, Sol is shaking, Penn's eyes are wide and glassy. But they're breathing. Kairo's face is white, his hands are covered in Mek's blood, his eyes are wild, alpha instinct and terror colliding. Stay with me, Kairo says, his voice is rough, barely controlled. You hear me, Mek, stay. Mek tries to speak, his lips move but nothing comes out except a wet gurgling sound that shouldn't exist. His vision tunnels, the edges go black, gravity doubles, triples, pulling him down. But he needs to say it. Needs Kairo to know. Don't let them, Mek's voice is barely a whisper, more breath than sound. Take our baby. Kairo freezes. Our baby. Not the baby. Our... Mek's head falls back, his eyes close, his body goes limp in Kairo's arms. Blood pools beneath them, spreading in uneven circles, soaking into concrete that's still warm from the Louisiana sun. The triplets are screaming, Riven is calling for his father, Sol is calling for Mek, Penn is silent, face streaked with tears and someone else's blood. Dante appears, weapon drawn, scanning for threats. Ambulance is 2 minutes out. He doesn't have 2 minutes, Kairo says. He gathers Mek into his arms, careful of the wounds, mindful of the belly that's swollen with life even as death circles. He carries Mek toward the street where sirens are already wailing. The ambulance screeches to a stop. Paramedics rush forward. They try to take Mek, but Kairo won't let go. I'm riding with him, Kairo says, not a request, a command. They don't argue. Kairo climbs into the ambulance, still holding Mek. The paramedics work around him. IV lines, oxygen, pressure on wounds that won't stop bleeding. The doors slam shut. The vehicle lurches forward. Kairo looks down at Mek's face. Pale, slack, lips blue. Don't you dare, Kairo whispers. Don't you dare leave them. The heart monitor beeps, slow, uneven, threatening to flatline. One of the paramedics looks up. We are losing him. At the hospital, a doctor in surgical scrubs meets them at the emergency entrance. She takes one look at Mek and starts barking orders. Nurses swarm. Mek disappears behind double doors that Kairo isn't allowed through. Dante arrives with the triplets. They're still crying, still covered in blood. Kairo kneels and pulls them close, holding them while his hands shake and his mind races. Hours pass. Kairo doesn't move from the waiting room, doesn't eat, doesn't sleep, just sits with his sons pressed against him and waits. Finally, the doctor emerges. Kairo stands. He's alive, the doctor says. Barely, 4 gunshot wounds, fractured ribs, collapsed lung, significant blood loss. We've stabilized him, but the next 24 hours are critical. Kairo exhales for the first time in hours. And the baby, Kairo asks. The doctor's expression shifts. Mr. Vell, I need to tell you something. Kairo's blood turns cold. He's carrying twins, the doctor says. The world stops. What? Kairo whispers. Twins, both viable, both showing strong heartbeats despite the trauma. It's nothing short of miraculous. Kairo sits down hard. Twins. 2 lives Mek protected with his own body. 2 children who should have died today but didn't because Mek refused to let them. The doctor continues. There's something else. The shooter wasn't just targeting your sons. Kairo looks up. What? Based on the angle of the shots, he was aiming for Mr. Halden's abdomen. He was trying to kill the pregnancy. Rage, white-hot and absolute, floods Kairo's chest. Daxon, Kairo says, his voice is ice. The doctor nods. Hospital security found this in the parking lot. She hands Kairo a shell casing, engraved on the side, a crow. Daxon's symbol. Kairo's hands clench around the casing, so hard it cuts his palm. Can I see him? Kairo asks. He's in recovery, sedated, but yes. Kairo follows the doctor to Mek's room. The Omega looks small in the hospital bed, bandaged, bruised, hooked to machines that beep and hiss, but his chest rises and falls. His heart beats steady. Kairo sits beside him, takes his hand, holds it like it's the only thing keeping him anchored to the earth. You saved them, Kairo whispers, all of them, and I'm going to make sure he never touches you again. Mek doesn't wake, but his fingers twitch slightly in Kairo's grip. Outside the hospital, in a car parked 3 blocks away, Daxon Crow watches the news coverage on his phone. Footage of the shooting, paramedics, blood. He smiled. Then he makes a call. "Status?" Daxon asks. "Target survived," a voice reports. Daxon's smile widens. "Good, that means we get to try again." The twins' heartbeats fill the hospital room like a promise Mech didn't know he was allowed to keep. Kairo listens to them through the fetal monitor, 2 steady rhythms, slightly out of sync, proof that life can survive even when death comes hunting. The doctor stands beside him, pointing at the screen. "Baby A is here," she says, indicating a small shape. "Baby B is here, both measuring perfectly for 24 weeks. Strong cardiac activity, no signs of distress." Kairo stares at the screen. 2 children, 2 lives that Mech protected while bullets tore through his own body. "How is that possible?" Kairo asks. The doctor shakes her head. "Honestly, luck, angle, divine intervention, call it whatever you want. The bullets missed the uterus by centimeters, if he'd been standing 1 inch to the left." She doesn't finish, doesn't need to. Mech stirs in the bed, his eyes flutter open, unfocused, confused. "The boys," Mech whispers, his voice is raw from intubation. "Are they safe?" Kairo says immediately. He moves to Mech's side, takes his hand. "All 3 of them, because of you." Mech's eyes fill with tears, relief, exhaustion, pain. "The Barbies?" Mech asks. "Still there," Kairo says, "both of them." Mech blinks. "Both? You're carrying twins, Mech." Mech's free hand moves to his belly, bandaged, swollen, still whole. His face crumples, not from pain, from something else. Something that looks like disbelief that anything good could come from something so broken. "I didn't know," Mech whispers. "So now you do." Mech closes his eyes. "He tried to kill them, didn't he?" Kairo's jaw clenches. "Yes. He's going to try again. Not if I stop him first." Mech's eyes snap open. "How? He's untouchable, Kairo. He has judges, politicians, money that goes places we can't follow." "He's not untouchable," Kairo says. His voice is cold, final. "He's just careful, but careful men make mistakes, and I've been collecting his mistakes for 2 years." Mech stares at him. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying Daxon Crow is about to learn the difference between power and justice." Over the next 72 hours, Kairo dismantles Daxon's empire with surgical precision. First, the money. Kairo's accountant, a woman named Simon who could find financial ghosts in spreadsheets, traces Daxon's offshore accounts, shell companies, laundered funds, payments to officials who looked the other way while Omegas disappeared into private auctions. She packages everything into a clean file and sends it to 3 people. A federal prosecutor Kairo once helped, an investigative journalist hungry for a career-defining story, and an IRS auditor who hates trafficking more than she loves sleep. Second, the network. Kairo's tech specialist hacks Daxon's private servers, finds auction records, names, dates, photographs of Omegas who were never reported missing because no one knew to look, evidence so damning even board judges can't ignore it. The files go to law enforcement, to media outlets, to advocacy groups who have been fighting trafficking for decades. Third, the reputation. The journalist runs the story. Front page, full exposure. Daxon Crow, philanthropist, businessman, alpha elite, revealed as the predator he's always been. Photos of his charity galas paired with screenshots of auction transactions. Testimonies from survivors who finally feel safe enough to speak. The public reacts with rage. Politicians who took his money scramble to return donations. Business partners sever ties. Social circles close ranks against him. Daxon tries to flee. He books a private jet, arranges fake documents, plans to disappear into a country without extradition treaties. But Kairo anticipated that too. Federal agents are waiting at the airstrip when Daxon arrives. They arrest him on charges of human trafficking, racketeering, and conspiracy. The arrest is filmed, broadcast, shared across every news platform in the country. Daxon Crow, handcuffed, furious, humiliated, dragged into a police car while cameras capture every second. Justice doesn't always look like violence. Sometimes it looks like a monster being exposed in daylight with nowhere left to hide. Kairo watches the arrest from Mech's hospital room. The Omega is sitting up now, healing slowly but steadily. The triplets are curled on the bed beside him, asleep after hours of refusing to leave. Is it over? Mech asks. Kairo turns off his phone. It's over. Mech's shoulders sag, relief so profound it steals his breath. He can't hurt us anymore. No, Kairo says, he can't. Mech looks down at the boys sleeping beside him, at the bandages covering his own body, at the belly that's healing around two children who refuse to give up. What happens now? Mech asks. Kairo sits on the edge of the bed, careful, gentle. Now, Kairo says, you heal, you carry these Barbies to term, and when they're born we raise them together, all 5 of them, as a family. Mech's eyes fill with tears. Why are you doing this? Because you threw yourself in front of bullets meant for my sons, Kairo says. His voice is steady but his eyes are burning. Because you're carrying twins you didn't ask for but you're protecting them anyway. Because you're stronger than you think and braver than anyone I've ever met. He pauses. And because somewhere between the clinic and now, you stopped being a responsibility and became someone I can't imagine losing. Mech's breath catches. Kairo reaches out, cups Mech's face, gentle, reverent. I'm not asking you to love me, Kairo says. I'm just asking you to stay. Mech leans into the touch. I'm not going anywhere. 3 months later, at 37 weeks, Mech goes into labor. It's controlled, planned, a scheduled C-section because twins and trauma don't mix well with natural birth. Kairo is there the entire time, holding Mech's hand, whispering reassurances while doctors work behind a sterile curtain. The first baby cries at 2:47 p.m., a boy with storm grey alpha eyes. The second baby cries at 2:49 p.m., a boy with ocean blue omega eyes. Mech sobs when they place the twins on his chest. Tiny, perfect, alive. You did it, Kairo whispers. You kept them safe. The triplets meet their new brothers the next day. Riven declares himself the official toy provider. Sol sings them a lullaby he learned at school. Penn just watches them with quiet wonder. They're so small, Penn says. You were small once too, Kairo reminds him. Did someone hurt you to make us? Riven asks Mech, blunt and honest the way children are. Mech freezes, looks at Kairo. Kairo kneels beside Riven. Someone tried to hurt Mech, but Mech survived. And these Barbies survived because Mech loved them before they were even born. That's what papas do, Sol says simply. Mech's chest cracks open, because Sol just called him papa without asking, without hesitation. Yeah, Mech says, voice thick with emotion, that's what papas do. Months pass, the twins grow. The triplets start kindergarten. Daxon Crow is convicted on 12 counts and sentenced to 40 years without parole. Mech's scars fade but never disappear. He wears them like proof that survival is its own kind of strength. One evening, Kairo finds Mech on the porch, watching the sunset paint New Orleans gold and crimson. The alpha sits beside him. You okay? Kairo asks. I'm thinking, Mech says. About how a year ago I thought I'd die before I turned 25. And now I'm here, with 5 kids, with you, with a life I didn't know I was allowed to have. Kairo takes Mech's hand. You're allowed. I know, Mech says. He looks at Kairo. Thank you, for choosing me when I couldn't choose myself. Kairo leans in, presses his forehead to Mech's. I'll choose you every day, Kairo says, for as long as you'll let me. Inside, the boys are laughing. Someone drops something and it crashes. Someone else yells. Chaos, family, home. Mech smiles. New Orleans didn't forgive everyone, Mech says quietly, but it forgave the Omega who. Mech wakes to the sound of twin Barbies crying in stereo. It's been 6 weeks since the C-section. His body is still healing, scars pink and tender, muscles rebuilding strength stolen by bullets and surgery. He sits up slowly, careful of the incision across his lower abdomen, and reaches for the bassinet beside the bed. 2 sets of tiny fists wave in the air. Grey eyes and blue eyes, Alpha and Omega, brothers born from trauma but raised in safety. Kairo appears in the doorway, already dressed, holding 2 bottles. I got them. You sure? Mech asks, his voice is rough with sleep. You took 4 bullets for my sons, Kairo says, crossing to the bassinet. I can handle 2 bottles. He scoops up the twins with practiced ease, 1 in each arm, bottles balanced perfectly. The Barbies latch immediately, hungry and loud, until milk fills their mouths and turns their cries to satisfied grunts. Mek watches, chest tight, because a year ago he was running from a monster who wanted to own him. Now he's watching an alpha feed Barbies who should have died, but didn't because Mek refused to let them. The triplets barrel into the room seconds later, still in pajamas, hair sticking up in every direction. Are the Barbies awake? Riven asks, too loud for 6 in the morning. Obviously, Penn says, rolling his eyes. Sol climbs onto the bed beside Mek. Can I hold one? After they eat, Mek says, smoothing Sol's hair. Riven bounces on his toes. When are they gonna be big enough to play dinosaurs? Few more years, Kairo says. That's forever. Penn studies the twins with scientific precision. They look different now. Baby A's face is rounder. Baby A has a name, Mek reminds him. Nasia. And Baby B is Amari, Sol adds proudly. The names were Mek's choice. Nasia helper, Amari strength, because these boys would grow up knowing they were wanted, protected, loved. After breakfast, the triplets go to school. Kairo handles drop-off while Mek stays home with the twins. He changes diapers, sings lullabies his own mother taught him before she died, traces the outline of tiny fingers and marvels that something so small survived something so violent. His shoulder aches. The scar tissue pulls when he lifts his arm too high. Doctors said the damage is permanent. Nerve pain, reduced mobility, the price of throwing himself in front of bullets. Mek would do it again without hesitation. That afternoon, a social worker arrives for the final home visit. Her name is Ms. Langston. She's been monitoring Mek's case since the hospital reported the shooting, making sure the twins were safe, that Mek wasn't being coerced, that the household was stable. She sits in the living room, clipboard in hand, watching Mek feed Nasia, while Kairo holds Amari. How are you adjusting? Ms. Langston asks. Good, Mek says, better than I expected. Any concerns, pain, mental health? Mek hesitates because yes, there are nightmares, flashbacks to the auction room, to Daxon's hands, to gunshots and blood, but there's also this, 2 healthy Barbies, 3 triplets who call him Papa, an alpha who looks at him like he's worth protecting. I'm managing, Mek says carefully. Ms. Langston makes notes, and Mr. Vell, how's the co-parenting dynamic? Kairo speaks before Mek can. We're not co-parenting, we're parenting together, as a family. Ms. Langston's pen pauses. She looks between them. I need to clarify something for my report. Are you two in a romantic relationship, or is this a platonic arrangement? Mek's face heats because the truth is complicated. They share a bed most nights, not for sex, just because Mek sleeps better when Kairo's scent surrounds him. Kairo touches him constantly, hand on his back, arm around his shoulders, gestures that feel protective and possessive and gentle all at once. But they haven't defined it, haven't labeled it. We are figuring it out, Mek says finally. Kairo looks at him. I'm not figuring anything out, I know exactly what I want. Mek's breath catches. Kairo. I want you to stay, permanently, not as a guest, not as someone I'm protecting, as my partner, my Omega. The room goes silent. Ms. Langston clears her throat. I'll give you two a moment. She steps into the kitchen. Mek stares at Kairo. You can't just say things like that. Why not? It's true. Because Mek gestures at himself. Broken, traumatized, carrying another alpha's children. You're carrying our children, Kairo corrects. Biology doesn't determine family, choice does, and I choose you, every day, for the rest of my life if you'll let me. Mek's eyes burn. You don't know what you're asking for. Yes, I do. I'm asking to wake up beside you, to raise these boys together, to build a life where you never have to run again. Kairo stands, crosses to Mek, kneels so they're eye level. I'm not him, Kairo says, his voice is steady. Certain, I will never own you, I will never take choices from you, I will never make you feel like you're anything less than extraordinary. A tear slides down Mek's cheek. What if I can't love you the way you deserve? Then we'll figure it out, together. Mek looks at this alpha who saved him, who protected his children, who dismantled a monster so Mek could sleep without fear. Okay, Mek whispers. Okay. I'll stay, for real this time. Kairo's face transforms. Relief, joy, something that looks almost like disbelief. He leans forward, presses his lips to Mek's forehead. Gentle, reverent. Thank you, Kairo whispers. Later that evening, after Ms. Langston leaves with a glowing report, after the triplets come home and demand story time, after the twins are fed and changed and sleeping, Meg and Kairo sit on the porch and watch the sun set over New Orleans. The city hums around them, jazz from a distant bar, laughter from neighbors, the thick humid air that makes everything feel alive. I used to hate this city, Mac says. It took everything from me. And now, Kairo asks. Now I think it gave me everything back. Kairo takes Mech's hand, laces their fingers together. You gave yourself everything back, Kairo says. You survived, you fought, you protected children who weren't even yours yet. That wasn't New Orleans, that was you. Mech leans his head on Kairo's shoulder. I couldn't have done it without you. You could have, Kairo says, but I'm glad you didn't have to. Inside, someone drops something. Riven yells. Sol tries to mediate. Penn probably started it. Chaos, family, home. Mech smiles. Because a year ago he thought survival was just staying alive. Now he knows survival is choosing to live, to love, to believe that broken things can be remade into something beautiful. New Orleans didn't forgive everyone. But it forgave the Omega who refused to let darkness decide how his family would begin. And in a house full of triplets and twins, and an alpha who looked at trauma and chose love, Marek Halden finally learned that home wasn't a place. It was the people who chose you back. Thank you for staying until the end. This story is proof that strength isn't about never breaking, it's about choosing to heal. If you felt something watching this, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next story. Drop a comment about what family means to you. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. And if you know someone who needs to hear that they're worthy of love even after trauma, share this with them. Your support helps us keep creating stories that matter. We'll see you in the next one. Keep choosing love.